Hey, Blender Bob here. Hello, Amsterdam. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very honored to be here. Well, guess what, people? I wasn't born Blender Bob. I used to be Toaster Mike. But that didn't work well for me. So actually, my name is Robert Rioux. I'm French-Canadian, and unless you speak French, you are most likely going to pronounce my name Robert Rioux, which sounds more like toxic waste material. Hence, Blender Bob. I've been working in the VFX industry since 1995. I worked on over 60 movies, on TV series, on documentaries, and a ton of commercials. I now work as a CG supervisor at Real by Fake. It's a Montreal-based company. It's a small company, but I'm also director of innovation and technology. It's a small company, but small company doesn't mean that we work on small projects. We did 1,200 shots on the morning show. We did everything for Little Big Fire and Little Fire Everywhere. We did over 350 shots on Moonfall. Yes, there's a little bit of Blender in Moonfall. And I also have a website called Blender Bob, where I talk about the visual effects that we do at the company. And I sometimes also redo some shots from movies or for TV shows, just to show that it's possible to do them in Blender. I do some VFX tutorials and some advanced modeling stuff, and sometimes it's just me being silly.
Live long and prosper, my young Padawans.
So I would like to show you a little demo of some of the shots we did in Blender. Now, this is where I'm gonna sound like an Apple keynote. At Real by Fake, we worked really hard to create the best pipeline ever created. Our developers worked really hard to create an idiot-proof pipeline that is easy to use and has a very, very fast learning curve. So it all starts with I don't get my notes. Can I get my notes, please? Excuse me. So it all starts with the I/O department. They will get an AFF file, which is actually the edit for the entire movie. And from there, they will use a special software that will distribute all the shots to our shot tracker. A lot of companies use Shotgun. We decided to use F-Track because it better fits our needs. And they will also transform the camera information, the camera footage, into EXR files and a JPEG sequence also. The JPEG is if we want to do some layouts and some fast compositing, just to, a mock-up. So this is F-Track. Whoa, I went too fast. So this is it playing. Oh, okay. So this is F-Track. It's a web interface. As you can see, the assets have been created. So I got the city, the helicopter, and the monkey, and we have one shot in this project. And you can see that the tasks have been created, look, dev, and modeling, and they have been assigned to me. Same thing for the helicopter and the monkey. And for the shot, we have all the tasks, also compositing, animation, layout, and all that jazz. We also have a part for the user. So this is what you look at in the morning when you arrive at the office. You have this column not started yet. So these are all the tasks that have been assigned to you. There's also another column called Need Corrections. So this is when you need to modify some stuff. And there's another one that will show you the work in progress. So if we need to make a change, so this was approved, let's say it's unapproved by the client, because it happens sometimes, then we will change this to internal not approved, and then we'll go find the task and say it needs corrections. So now if I go back into my task, you can see that it appeared in the column need correction. So let's start with the modeling. This is how we start Blender. We go in the still thing here, and we can decide which version of Blender that we want. As soon as the interface comes up, we have this little box that asks us which task we want to work on. In this case, it's the modeling. Press OK, and we are good to go. So now we'll do my modeling. So I got my Suzanne here. I will put her in a collection called Monkey. And I will assign a default shader. That's very important. You will see why later. So default shader. OK, so you can see that the render path also has been set up automatically, so we don't have to worry about where we're going to save our files. And at this point, we do a render. OK, I'm happy with it. I'm going to publish it to ftrack. So I go in the fake menu. That's our custom menu. And I publish it to ftrack. I write a note. It's important to always write a note on what you're doing. So first pass, and it's gone. So now if we take a look at ftrack, you can see that I have in the versions, the clip is right there. It's in the captain review. Captains are like shot leads for us at our company. And the VFX soup can look at it, fine, he's happy with it, and he's going to approve it or not approve it if he doesn't like it. So if we have to deal with crazy models like this bridge here has 33 million polygons, it's super heavy, we're going to create two collections, one with a high-res and one with a low-res model. This one only has 5,000 polygons. And we're going to create a dummy geometry, and we're going to put our two collections right there. We're going to plug them into a switch with his viewport connected in the switch. So this way, in the viewport, we only see the low-res version, and when we render it, we're going to see the high-res version. So low-res, I make the render, it's high-res. And also, if you link this dummy geometry into another file, it will only load the low-res geometry, so you don't need to carry the 2.3 gigabyte file for this bridge every time you move from one scene to another. Look dev. Now, this is why it's important to have a default shader on the object, because let's say this motorcycle was done in Substance, then you would have one shader for the entire motorcycle. So what we do is to create an override on the shader, and everything is assigned to the same shader. And then I can just assign the textures that I want on the motorcycle. In this case, I'm just going to change the color because it's a demo. And if I want to do something special, let's say for the back tire, then I will just cancel the override on it. And I will do the same thing I did before. So I will just unlink the shader. I can rename it. So I make it local. I rename it. Change the colors that I want. So in our pipeline, everything is linked. So the modeling, everything is in a collection. So we take the collection from the modeling and we link it into the lookdev file. So this way, we don't carry the geometry every time we want to save something. It makes the files very light. So this way, if I modify the original geometry, all the lookdev's version will be modified automatically. Actually, our entire pipeline is designed on links. So the modeling is linked into the lookdev. The lookdev assets are linked into the layout. Now you can see I got red arrows for the layout to animation and animation to lighting. That's because we cannot link a scene from one to the other. Actually, we can do it, but we cannot override it. I know it's on the to-do list, so we're looking for this to be done. So this way, everything is going to be updated automatically all the time. Now, every time we publish a file in ftrack, it will make a copy of that file called published. And this is always a copy of the latest version that we've published. So this way, and this is the one we linked in our scene, the published one. So this way, we know that we will always have the latest asset in our files. So we don't need to try to figure out what is the latest version of the car, or whatever, all that stuff. It's all automatic. Now, we need to prepare the plates. So this time, I will start Nuke. And in Nuke, I will get the same box here. I will use a pre-comp 3D. Pre-comp 3D is only for the 3D artists. So this is for us to prepare our stuff and to make sure that everything is OK and before we send it to compositing. We do a pre-comp. We always do a pre-comp of our work. So now, when I open Nuke and I set up this, everything gets set up automatically. So it loads the plate. It loads the reference for the client. It sets up the start frame, the end frames, the number of frames per second, the resolution for the show. It sets the LUTs, and it sets Nuke in ACES, because we work in ACES. OK, so this is the reference from the client. He wants a giant monkey head over the water with a helicopter flying over it, Montreal in the background, and a guy freaking out in front. Excellent actor, by the way. So now I need to bring this into Blender, because that's my reference. So what I will do is to create a custom node that we created called fake preprocess. When I connect it, here I will set it to 3D plate. That means it's for Blender. I'll give it a name, so reference background. I will set it to HD, because I don't need a 4K image just for reference images. And I will render it on the farm. Once it's rendered, I press Unpublished, and it goes to F-Track. Now I need to prepare the foreground plate. So I will do a quick keying here. Doesn't need to be perfect, because it was going to go to compositing after anyway. So I will make sure it's at the right place, right position. And this time I'm going to create another fake preprocess. But this one, I will leave it to preprocess. I will not put it as a 3D plate, because this one will output a PNG with the alpha. And this is what I need, because it's in the foreground. So I render it, publish it, and I'm happy with it. Layout. I really need it. So for the layout scene, I go into my F-Track here. It's going to set up the scene automatically for me. It says, hey, I found some assets. Do you want to import it? Yes, I want. This is the background image that we just published before. So when I do this, you can see that the background image is set up automatically. It also set up automatically the start frame and the end frame. It starts at 1001, which is an industry standard. Now I need to have my foreground element. So I could click on the Add Image button there, but there's another way to do it. We go in the Fake menu, and we go into our asset browser. This is something that's been developed before Blender had an asset browser. It's our own custom stuff. So these are all the projects we're working on. And at the bottom, these are all the stuff that's been published so far for this project. And you can see here my guy in front is right there. And you can see I got two background images, the proxy and the main. The main is the EXR, and the proxy is half-res in PNG. So now I set up my layout. So I reference everything in the scene. I will rename the camera, and I will lock it to make sure I will not move it by mistake. I do a render. I'm happy with it. I will go in the Fake menu and publish it to F-Track. First pass. And it's done. Now it's time for the animation. So for the animation here, the VFX supervisor will first approve the layout. Now it's approved. And I can go here. I don't need to start another Blender. I can continue from the one I had. So I go here in the Publish and the Fake menu, and I will say I want to work on the animation. It creates an empty file, and I'm going to link the layout file in it. What actually happened, because as I said, I cannot link it. So now I get it, but it looks like crap, because that's the default scene, and we don't want it, so I'm just going to delete it. And now I will get the result that I expect from the layout. Now, the problem is, because it's happened from another scene, it has the wrong setting in it. It has the wrong render resolution, and it has the wrong render path. So if I look here, see, start frame and frame is wrong. The render path is for the layout, and that's not good. So there's a very easy way to fix this. I will just save the file and reload it. Because when I say our project is, our pipeline is idiot-proof, well, that's what I mean. It realized when you reload it that, hey, the start frame and frame changed. Do you want to update it? Well, yes, I want. Or the resolution changed. Do you want to update it? So you can decide what you want or not. So yes, I want to change this. And now you can see it's been updated. The start frame and frame has been updated. And the render path has been updated as well. So now I do the animation. I do a play blast. Well, sorry, not play blast, but a screen grab. If I look at it, it's going to look like this. That's because we're using Blender in ACES, and some stuff are not supported yet, but I'm sure it's coming. But if I look at it, if I publish it and I look at it in FTrack, it's going to look just fine because our entire pipeline is set up to ACES, so it works. Lighting. So in lighting, you know, sometimes it's a mess when you have to, you can have a mess of collections and layers. When you have a lot of layers, it's really hard to manage all this stuff and everything. And if you have very heavy scenes, changing from one layer to another may take a long time. Well, what we did is something that's based on the layer. It's the Layer Manager add-on. It's based like this when you can set up, you can decide which layer you want to render, and you can turn on the background image on off if you want it. But we kind of put it on steroids. And this is where you're going to get so jealous. We have created a spreadsheet when we can turn everything on and off in one place. We can turn on and off the layers, we can do the collections, we can do all the AOVs, the shader overrides, the cryptomat, everything is there in one place. And trust me, once you've tried this, you cannot go back. It's one spreadsheet to rule them all. It's completely amazing. And especially when you have very heavy scenes, just switching from one layer to another, and then you create a new collection, and it's on by default on all your layers, then you have to go one by one and turn it on or off as needed. Well, in this case, it's very simple. We can do it just like that. And we can even copy, paste settings from one layer to another, which goes very fast. So it's quite an amazing tool. Anybody taking notes? Because we would love to share that thing open source, but we cannot because it uses some libraries and it's hard-coded to our system. But if there are any developers in the room that would like to bring this to Blender, I'm sure everybody in this room would love that feature. So we split our renders in two passes. The beauty will be in 16-bit and the data in 32 bits. Otherwise, the scenes becomes enormous. It becomes very huge and very hard to manage. So I just need to click on the Create Render node, and it's going to set up all the renders set up for me. It's going to do all the compositing setup for me. So all is there with all the AOVs that we selected. And it's also going to create a comp version, a pre-comp version with all our background images in the right order. Now, because Blender is the only software that we use that is Z-up, we had to do some modification for the normal path and the position path so that it works in Nuke. So by pressing this button, it will do the correct changes so that we can bring them in Nuke and don't have the problem to deal with the normals going in the wrong direction. Now, I may have many layers. Maybe I don't want everything into a single big EXR file with all the layers. Like the background image in Montreal, maybe I don't need to re-render it every time. I don't want that. So I can go into the multi-layer to multiple assets. And if I click on Create Render Nodes, it's going to reset up everything automatically for me. Now, maybe I want to regroup them together. So I can go into Custom Assets here, and I can say, for example, I want the monkey and the spotlight to be on the same file, and I want the background and the water to be in the same file also, and the helicopter will be on itself. So we will have 3 outputs instead of having 7 or whatever we had before. So I just need to create on the Create Render Nodes, and it's broken because there were some changes in Python and it doesn't work anymore, but we're working on it. I'm not done yet. We also have an option to have a super denoiser that will denoise every AOVs that you output. And we have another option that will combine like the diffuse, glossiness, and all the other passes into one file instead of 3. And the compositors really, really like it because otherwise sometimes it can get way too complex with all these different outputs. And that's a pretty cool feature that we have also. So I am done with my lighting. It's time to send it to the render farm. So it tells me, hey, it's already, you need to save your file first. See, it's idiot-proof. So I'll save my file, set 32 core, I send it. Hey, it's already been rendered. So do you want to override it? No, I don't. So what I will do is just version up my project. Version up. And 32 cores again. And this time it's going to go on the farm. So it is really idiot-proof. Even if you have junior people that don't know what they're doing, they cannot overwrite stuff by mistake. So it's all set up like this. So let's go back to our pre-comp. I will start Nuke. Well, these are all the passes that I outputted, so I will approve them all because I have this power. And I will start Nuke again. Now I can go into the asset browser, the same one we saw before, and I can load all the plates that have been rendered. And it's going to set them up automatically, the high-res and the low-res version in it. So my pre-comp is done. This is the pre-comp. It's a very simple thing, just putting stuff one over the other. And now we'll create a fake output node. And this one will allow me to send it to the farm. So I render it. I can create a node just to check, make sure everything is OK. It's all good. Done. Publish. And it goes to FTrack. So now you can see the VFX soup can look at it again. It's a wonderful shot. He wants to approve it. You can see there's a little bit of orange here. That means there's something in progress. If I approve it, you can see that now it's green. Look. And if I look at the shot itself, you can see everything is green. Everything that's green means it has been approved. This one is gray because it hasn't been started yet. So in 15 minutes, I've shown you modeling, look dev, layout preps, layout, animation, lighting, and pre-comp 3D, and I never wrote a single file name. So at Real by Fake, you will never get a shot 5 modif revision 5 final v4 November 10. Robert, cat on my keyboard. Yes. Cat is gone now. Final v10. .bland. Or .nuke for that matter. We never write a single file name in our entire pipeline. And that's why I say it's the best pipeline ever created, because it is idiot-proof, it is very easy to use, and it has a very fast learning curve, just like Blender. I got a special authorization to show you a shot from a movie we're working on right now. We're doing like 360 shots on that movie. And I've been allowed to show you one shot. It's not a money shot, because we're just starting the project, but still, it's a cool shot. Want to see it? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Blender Foundation. Thank you to Real by Fake. Thank you to my YouTube followers. And thank you all for being here.